Hey yo, football fans, it's another great year. Fantasy football fiends, grab your beer. Giving you the best draft tips for all your picks. Starts and sits to the waiver wire fix. From mock drafts galore to stats that's hardcore. Triple F does it all, have y'all screaming more. So sit back, relax, let the experts prevail. JT Magnum, Siggy Guns never fail.
What's up, fantasy football fans? My name is JT Magnum. Welcome to week 13 of your Stardom Situm show, and this is going to be a good one. This is the week before most of you guys are going to be in the playoffs. Most playoffs start around week 14 or week 15. In my case, for one of my leagues, it starts week 14 and 15 and 16, and then the other league, I'm in a league that unfortunately it starts on 15, 16, and 17. And it really sucks because it's just one of those things where week 17 is just like the dumbest thing. I hate being in that. I wish I never got into that, but is what it is. I'm in it, and I have Ezekiel Elliott, and the Cowboys right now are 10-1, and who knows if Ezekiel Elliott will play in week 17 because the Cowboys might clinch by then. So very scary situation for me, but let's get into this because I want to get you guys picks in or get your guys thoughts on everything. And I want you guys to make the playoffs. Hopefully you guys are in it. If not, hope you guys knock somebody out. Who knows? But the waiver wire pickups this week, I have number one, Alfred Morris. And the reason why I have Alfred Morris is because just what I was talking about. If you're in one of those situations where Cowboys might rest players and you have Ezekiel Elliott, you might want to pick up Alfred Morris just for that fact that they might just rest him, and you never know if you're in one of those kind of situations where you have to win in the playoffs and you're minus your best running back because of that. So pick up Alfred Morris if you can. Just for that reason. I mean, there's no other reason to pick up Alfred Morris. Ezekiel Elliott is the workhorse for the Cowboys, so I'm not saying that you have to pick him up unless Ezekiel Elliott, of course, gets hurt, but still, you don't really need to pick him up unless you're in that situation like me, where it could be one of those situations where the Cowboys can clinch and now you're going to lose a player or two. I mean, you might lose Des Bryant, you might lose Dak Prescott if you have him at quarterback. He's been phenomenal, so it's one of those situations. But number two, I have Marquez Wilson. And he's another guy. He's Chicago's Cameron Meredith hasn't lived up to the hype since Jeffrey went down. It seems like, and Marcus Wilson had a good game. It seems like Barkley was throwing to him a lot more than Meredith. I don't know if they're double teaming Meredith or what's the deal. If he can't get separation, I don't know what's going on. But Marquez Wilson's been the guy right now. That's not to say that Cameron Meredith might not have a good game. I'm just saying that, he just seems like the pickup right now. And he just seems like the go-to option for Barkley, at least in the first game. Malcolm Mitchell, he's been phenomenal. He's caught like 3 touchdowns the last 2 games, 2 against the Jets, 1 against the 49ers. And now, and he's been one of those receivers that Tom Brady has stepped up really big time, and Tom Brady really likes throwing the ball to him. And now the Patriots are a little weird because you never know which wide receiver is going to go off on which week. You never know if it's Chris Hogan. You never know if it's going to be Amendola. You never know if it's going to be Julian Edelman. And now it just seems like it's Malcolm Mitchell's turn. It could be Gronkowski when he's back. It could be Martellus Bennett. It's just one after the other. You never know which one with the Patriots, but he might be worth a pickup for you if you're wide receiver hungry. You have some guys that are hurt, like AJ Green or somebody trying to fill that void. Number 4 is Colin Kaepernick. You should have picked him up weeks ago. I think I mentioned this. He's been literally the second highest rated passer in fantasy football the last 4 weeks, and he's been phenomenal, believe it or not, but with garbage points basically. And remember, just because he's not a good quarterback doesn't mean that garbage points don't count. And right now, with the Niners always losing, he's throwing a lot. It's garbage points count, and he's running a lot. He's running for his life all the time. So that's getting you a lot of points right there as well. And he's got probably one of the easiest fantasy football schedules out there with playing the Bears, the Jets, the Falcons, and the Rams. He's playing the Bears this week. He's playing the Jets, Falcons, and Rams 14, 15, and 16. And I mean, you can't get any better than that when you can have a pretty good solid quarterback for then getting you rush yards and pass yards, because you know he's going to get you pass yards because they're going to be behind a lot. So that's just the way it is. And last, Dorial Green-Beckham, and this is because Jordan Matthews got injured in this game against the Packers. I'm not sure if he's gonna if he's going to be able to go. If he does, still Dorial Green-Beckham had a lot of targets. He was getting a few catches, especially in the first half. He got a lot of targets, got like 4 in the first series alone. So they're going to look to get him more involved, as Nelson Aguilar just seems to, he's not playing. I don't know if he's in a doghouse or what's going on, situation with Nelson Aguilar, but he's just not playing, and Dorial Green-Beckham is assuming that number 2 role now, and maybe the number 1 role of Jordan Matthews is out. So let's get into the starts now, because this is where it gets important for you guys. The starts of the week for me are Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, and Colin Kaepernick. And I'll talk about Colin Kaepernick. Like I said, he literally is the second highest rated fantasy football quarterback the last 4 weeks. And he's doing it not just with his arm, but with his legs. He's not throwing a lot of interceptions, has 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this year. Got a little over 300 yards rushing as well. So, and he got 100 yards the last game alone. So I think he was the highest fantasy scoring player last week alone. But anyways, look for him to do well against the Bears. Remember, his first game ever as a starter was against the Bears, and he did well on Monday night in Chicago. And now he's going to be playing at Chicago again. It won't be a Monday night, but still, he look for him to have some success against that Bears defense, who's minus, by the way, Danny Trevathan as well. Running backs, I have Jordan Howard, Tevin Coleman, and Wendell Smallwood, and I'll talk about Jordan Howard. The 49ers have been playing better run D as of late, but I still think with the way the Bears run the football with Jordan Howard, they don't give up that run. They just pound it and pound it and pound it. I think the 49ers D will succumb to that, and they're still last in the league against the run. They're giving up over 170 yards a game still, so I see Jordan Howard having a big day against that San Francisco defense. Wide receivers, I have Marvin Jones Sr., I have Cameron Meredith, and Sammy Watkins. And I'll talk about Sammy Watkins. Remember that guy? He had a okay game last week, but he's going against that Oakland defense who's given up a lot of pass yards this year. They're giving up a lot of points, and they just don't match up to me with the Bills defensively, given the fact that the Bills run and pound the ball so much. And now with the vertical threat of Sammy Watkins and Percy Harvin there and Marquise Goodwin, they got some speedsters on the outside. Sammy Watkins is going to benefit against those Raider corners because they can't stack. You can't stack the box against LaShawn McCoy when you have Sammy Watkins out there, and he's still a threat. Now he might not be the stud wide receiver like a Julio Jones, but Sammy Watkins can ball, and Sammy Watkins gets open, he can catch. So I really like Sammy Watkins in this game against the Raiders. Tight ends, I have Eric Ebron, Vance McDonald, and Greg Olsen, and I'll talk about Greg Olsen. The LOB, Legion of Boom, they're minus Earl Thomas. I'm not sure if he's going to play in this game. I know he missed the last game, and Seattle has a history of struggling against Olsen. I'm not sure if they're going to struggle against Cam this week, but Olsen is Cam's safe guy to go to, and Olsen, there's nobody really that can cover him other than maybe Richard Sherman, but they're going to be worried about Kelvin Benjamin, and Richard Sherman's going to have to cover him. So I just see Greg Olsen still being able to get a lot of catches and getting a few yards. I'm not sure if he's going to score too much, but he might get one, but he's going to have a bigger game than probably anybody on that Carolina team. Defenses, I have New England, Green Bay, and Atlanta. And defenses were a little hard to pick this week, I felt, but I picked New England because they're playing an inept Rams offense. I don't think the Rams offense is that good. I don't think Jared Goff is going to be able to do anything against the Patriots defense, despite the Patriots. I mean, they gave up a couple touchdowns to the Jets passing, but just in general, I just don't see the Rams being able to move the ball that well against that Patriots defense with the way Bill Belichick game plans. And, they're going to expose Jared Goff basically for what he is. He's a rookie. So it's just going to happen. And he's not Dak Prescott. They don't have that offensive line. And I don't see the Rams being able to do anything against the Patriots. So let's get on to the sits. And the sits this week are Blake Bortles, Cam Newton, and Andy Dalton for quarterbacks. And I'll talk about Cam Newton. The O-line for Carolina is just garbage. They're horrible. You saw it this past week with the Raiders being able to just get in pretty much at will and just attack Cam Newton. Now, they did score a lot of points towards the end. I think it was mostly because Derek Carr went out and Carolina had that little run where they scored a lot of points, but I don't see it happening against the Seahawks, where the Seahawks defense is just obviously way better than Oakland's, and with that pass rush of Seattle coming at them, I don't know how Cam Newton's going to survive this day. Like, he's going to get hit and hit a ton, and Seattle's looking for revenge because they beat him in that NFC playoff game last year. Running backs, I have Jay Ajayi, Doug Martin, and Lamar Miller, and I try to put some bigger guys with not so good matchups on here, and like I said, you don't have to sit these guys if you don't want to, but Jay Ajayi going against Baltimore. Baltimore's given up. I think they're number one in the league against the run. Doug Martin playing San Diego. San Diego, I believe, is number 3 or number 4 against the run. And Lamar Miller playing against Green Bay, who's their D's coming back together. They've got Clay Matthews back. They've got a lot of defensive line members back, and they're only giving up 90 yards a game on the ground. So Lamar Miller's going to have a hard day, especially in Green Bay, to play. And like I said, Houston has no chance of a vertical threat right now. And even though Green Bay's corners are out, they still have no vertical threat with Brock Osweiler. He's just struggling, been struggling all year. And he's until he shows that he can do something, people are going to stack the box against Lamar Miller. And I think that's what Green Bay is going to do. Wide receivers, I have Allen Robinson, Des Bryant, and Larry Fitzgerald. Again, I try to throw some big names out there that have bad matchups. And with Allen Robinson, Aqib Talib is back in the secondary, Chris Harris, and Denver it's going to be a struggle for them to be able to pass the ball, especially with Blake Bortles being able to pass the ball. And I don't like Allen Robinson in this matchup at all. Des Bryant going against Minnesota with Xavier Rhodes, and Larry Fitzgerald going against the Redskins with Josh Norman. So those are matchup issues that I feel might hinder their points a little bit. They'll get their catches, they'll get some here and there, but they're not going to have those phenomenal games that they're used to having. Tight ends, I have Julius Thomas, Tyler Eifert, and Zach Ertz, and I'll talk about Tyler Eifert. Eagles D holding their own against tight ends this year, and they held Jared Cook to 1 catch a game after he came back and had like 6 catches for over 100 yards in the game prior to that. And I just think the Eagles defense, remember, they've only given up 1 300-yard passer, and that was this past game against the Aaron Rodgers-led Packers, and it's Aaron Rodgers. That's why they gave it. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, period. Andy Dalton is no Aaron Rodgers, so Tyler Eifert might have a little hard time in this game against that Eagles secondary and Eagles defense altogether. Defenses, I have LA at New England, Arizona, and Minnesota, and I'll talk about the Vikings. The defense has been pretty phenomenal most of the year, whether they're scoring on defense or scoring on special teams, but the last couple games they struggled a little bit, probably mostly because their offense puts them in bad situations too, but Dallas is so balanced on offense with that run game and the way Dak Prescott's playing, plus that offensive line is ridiculous. They'll be able to run on Minnesota, even though Minnesota's run D is pretty good, pretty solid, and they'll be able to pass on them a little bit, especially with the way that run game plays. You can't stack the box against them with the threat of Des Bryant and the other guys on the outside, and with the threat of Dak Prescott being able to run as well. And they're just, like I said, they're too balanced on offense. They're too hard to stop on offense right now. They have everything rolling for them. I just don't see Minnesota being able to play a great game on defense. A lot of people still think that Minnesota's going to be ready at home and they're going to be pumped for this. And yeah, they might be, but until you play the game against that offensive line, they just mush people. They just kill people on that offensive line. And Ezekiel Elliott keeps pounding and pounding and pounding you. I just don't see any way Minnesota's going to score a lot of points on defense unless, fumbles happen or some kind of interceptions happen, or maybe they run back a kickoff return or a punt return with Cordero Patterson. I just don't see it. So Minnesota's probably not a good play this week. So that does it for the fantasy football stardom and sit 'em for week 13. Best of luck to you guys. Oh, I almost forgot the DraftKings. I almost forgot to shout out the DraftKings winners. Let's go to the first contest, and the first contest was won by Mayan 502 with 177.26 points, and I came out 14th in that one. Then the early game bragging rights for Sunday, was won by Rico Marta, and I was 6th in that one. He had 100, or she, I don't know if it's a he or she, but 163 points, 163.24 points. And then the afternoon only games, that was won by JCL 9282. I came out 13th in that one. And then another bragging rights contest, it was won by Mayan again. So Mayan won 2 of them with 156.9 points in that one. And then the all-famous winner gets my girlfriend for a day contest, Lisa H22 won that one with 151.86 points. So congratulations to all you guys for winning all those contests. I always the bragging rights contests are mine, but the winner gets my girlfriend for a day. That would be Vault Boys. So contact him if you want to take out his girlfriend. And yeah, that's it, guys. So best of luck to you for week 13, and best of luck. And, hopefully you guys make the playoffs, and then we'll have the playoff week starts next week. So I'll have the playoff special on next week, and we'll talk starts and sits. I'll probably name a lot bigger players next week, because playoff time is when you start to use the players that you want the most. And if maybe people get hurt or something like that, I'll talk about some other people. But next week is where you make your money, man. Next week is where you want to make sure you start the people that, the right people that got you there, or the right people that are playing good or have the best matchups. So hopefully you guys are in next week and you'll be able to watch the show. All right. So best of luck, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace, y'all.